What is up, guys? Just got another one down solo vid recorded. This time I am bringing the newest heist that was released yesterday, Heat Street on one down solo. I was doing some runs yesterday, and I was getting not super close. I get about halfway through the heist. I don't know. I did like somewhere between, I'd say 5-ish runs, 5 to 7 maybe. Yeah, like 5 to 7 runs yesterday. None of them were particularly excellent. Accidentally shot a sieve there. Got a lot of experience doing this first part, though. This first part gets pretty brutal sometimes. Anyway, so talking about overarching, I actually saw a bit of a change between the solo, just from yesterday and today, actually. A small update today, I think, changed some of the turret locations, perhaps. I didn't get a really bad turret spawn on... like when you're trying to get Matt out of the van, so that's pretty cool. I really try to get at least one convert here in this first alleyway. I usually take at least one down, so I wasn't too upset about taking that down a minute ago. I usually end up taking, sometimes if I'm unlucky, 2 in this first area, but I really tried to optimize it to where I either get none or just one. Usually if I get 2, I'll consider restarting the run, or I'll try to get to this next area so I can lay down a med bag in a pretty decent spot. But anyway, so this heist, this first part's kind of a grind to get up to Matt. Typical one down solo stuff, just fighting through some waves of cops, getting some messiahs, getting converteds, you know, the whole shebang. This place over here is really good for a med kit, but throughout most of the heist, anyway, talking about like overarching strategy. This map is gigantic, and so it's so easy, with so much cover, it's so easy to like kite cops back and forth across the map, particularly when you have converteds. So I was just astonished yesterday at how easy it was just to like get out of a situation, run across the map, camp out for like 30 seconds to a minute, and then come back over here, plant gas can, and then wash, rinse, repeat. So a lot of what you're going to see in this heist is going to be pretty frequent, just running back and forth, honestly. I'm going to try to avoid skirmishes with the cops when I possibly can, only deal with like immediate threats. So you'll see, even though there's a dozer right there, I'm not going to bother trying to kill him because he doesn't pose any like super immediate threat to me. My armor's not broken or anything like that. So trying to get lots of hostages because I have hostage taker aced on this build. So of course the number of hostages doesn't affect how much health I get, but the more I have, the, I guess, less chance of them all getting released by the cops whenever they go into recon parts of the assault phase and so on. Regardless. So, like I said, just lots of running back and forth. There's going to be a lot of that in this run. Like I said a few minutes ago, I noticed that turret spawns were a little bit different. The turrets that I got, one was towards the alleyway where you have to lead Matt in to go up the hill, or before you go up the hill. And then I don't know if I got one on the hill, to be quite honest with you. I don't think I did. The hill section was actually the one I was worried about, but the only run I ever made it to the hill section was this one, and I got it first go around, so that was pretty great. Of course, there are also some props throughout the heist that weren't like glitching in and out of existence. That gray car that was next to that tree would pop in and out of existence when you got too close to it, that one right there. And then there were some other weird clipping issues and like weird texture issues and things like that. So that alleyway that I run back and forth to is excellent for kiting, because you can, go around that building and get to the rest of the map, like the beginning part of the map, pretty easily. So a lot of it's pretty intuitive. I definitely felt like the run was significantly easier today. I don't think I was playing a lot better, to be quite honest. I don't think there was anything super exemplary about this run, or it didn't even really feel that difficult. I was almost shocked at certain points. So yesterday it felt like a pretty hard run just due to the turrets, and mostly just due to the way the armor suppression mechanic works, where, if you're being shot at, your armor won't regenerate, or if like you're being actively targeted by an enemy, your armor won't regenerate. It's something super similar to that. You can check out the long guide for more information and a more detailed explanation on that. But SWAT turrets, like the one that is directly to my work, that one, that SWAT turret is a particularly awful one that I got super frequently in some of the runs yesterday, and it was just absolutely terrible. It would keep I'd have to run all the way to the back street, or the first street you come through at the beginning of the heist, in order to effectively get it to get off my armor if I didn't have any converteds. If I had converteds, then it would target the converteds, and I could usually get my armor to regen pretty reliably. But I also tried to refrain killing as many enemies as I possibly could, simply because, of course, the more you do that, the more the converts are going to attract them, and the more likely it is that you'll get stuck in the fade part of assault for longer. So there will definitely be sections where it won't even look like there will be that many enemies on the map, and in fact there won't be, just because I'm trying to extend the assault wave for as long as possible, keep as many specials alive as possible, and things like that. I'm just kind of exploring a bit here, just waiting for the next gas objective to proc, or for Matt to get out of the van.
Dozer's here!
I only had to lay down 3 cans of gas for Matt to get out, so that was kind of nice. The shortest one, or the shortest sequence I've had, was 2 gas cans, I believe. 4, of course, being the maximum. Had a bunch of taser spawns right here, so just trying to skirt around them as much as possible. This next part is actually... I was extraordinarily surprised at how well this went. I don't know like from what point the enemies were spawning from. I tried to be kind of far away from this area when the assault wave started, so there would be a higher tendency for the enemies to path to where I was at the beginning of the assault wave, which I believe happens pretty frequently, or like those will be the... I mean, it's dependent on heist to heist, but regardless. I tried to be farther away from where I would later want to be during the assault wave, whenever the assault wave would start. And I guess it worked out pretty well here, because there weren't tons of spawns, and they were pouring down from down the street. Once I poke out over here, you'll see a bunch of enemies kind of swarming in. So I was able to get Matt a good distance down the street before I had to kind of retreat off, which was just fantastic. See, if you look past way down the street, you'll see a bunch more spawns coming in. But regardless. So I was pretty happy that I was able to get him moved as far as I did. And the runs prior to the update before today, I'd have to do it in chunks and pieces, and it was taking an eternity. And I was worried that this was going to turn into like a 20-ish minute run, but I actually think I did this one down run today faster than I did when I did like my experimental solo overkill, when I was just kind of getting a feel for the heist for the first time. So... like I said, Matt made pretty good progress, but I didn't feel comfortable enough going out right there just at the moment to try to get him to move a little bit more. Enemies were starting to kind of swarm in, and I didn't want to get overcrowded. So I decided to back off and retreat to my safe haven. Saw a sniper. I was having a hard time figuring out where he was for a minute. I was more worried about getting shot, so I just left him alone. Saw how to deal with him later. So. again, trying to only deal with enemies that pose immediate threats to me. And I also really like to take tons of hostages, as many as I possibly can. I'll usually deal with tasers, medics, of course, as well. I didn't kill the medic in the alleyway, though, because I just felt like it would be a bit smarter to just get out of that situation as opposed to try to fight against it. Because, like I said, a lot of the strategy around doing this particular heist was just lots of heavy kiting. Unlike some other heists that I do where I just prefer to camp in the situation. This is where the other turret spawned. I believe this is a scripted turret spawn, so this one will always be here. This one didn't give me too much grief, though. I was able to break out of its targeting pretty easily. Once I got behind the car, it started targeting the convert, as you saw there a second ago. So, and of course, you can see my armor regeneration there on the left-hand side of my HUD. Continuously flashing 2 seconds. So, I was able to get Matt over here extremely quickly as far as I was concerned, the fastest that I had gotten here at this point. I don't even know if I had maybe only like even remotely close one time had I gotten to this part, just because being pinned between 2 turrets was just completely abysmal. So this run was definitely changed a lot, either with the lack of turret spawn or with a change that Overkill might have made today where a turret just doesn't spawn. I really don't know. I was actually kind of theory crafting with a build that I was going to try if the turrets gave me too much trouble. I was going to get Jack of all trades aced, and I was going to get up to ECM overdrive basic so that I could get a little bit of an extended duration on ECM feedback so that I could turn the turrets against the other enemies. And I was going to experiment with that because it wasn't going to change my overall build too much except for getting rid of Hostage Taker, even though I really like having the health regen alongside dodge. But I was willing to sacrifice it if it meant getting rid of the turrets, especially towards this end section, because I thought it was going to be terrible. But this end section was actually extraordinarily tame, because of course all the enemy spawns are down at the base where the base of the streets where my converts currently are at, or where one's currently at. I think one was only alive at this moment. So I pretty much had free reign to run that like halfway up the hill because the assault wave was kind of in fade for a little while. Of course, the turret's still locked on to me. There we go. Finally locked off. Or got on me again. Never mind. It's ridiculous. Like, just that mechanic alone is what made this so difficult before, when there were just turrets all over the map. And like I said, I'm only assuming that Overkill changed the spawns and it's not like an RNG related thing. If it is an RNG related thing, then I just got like an absolutely amazing spawn as far as turrets are concerned. But given the way that they were spawning yesterday, I'm reluctant to think that it was based on luck, and I think it was a change that Overkill made. So this run probably would have been a lot more impressive had I done it yesterday on release day when the turrets were all still active. And if they change it again later where they bring the turrets back, I'll revisit it just to kind of give a updated run, so it doesn't, because this is kind of cheesy, honestly. Well, not cheesy. I mean, it's a completely viable tactic, kiting cops and maneuvering around enemies and around the map. I really didn't get downed all that much in this heist, which was pretty cool. I can't remember how many I ended up taking total. I think at this point I've still only had 2. I haven't hit a med bag since the first street where he first came into the city. So of course I'm trying to usher Matt up the hill as fast as possible. I paused there for a second because my friend was messaging me and I was telling him to buzz off for a minute because I was on the hill section and I really wanted to get this done. Because like I said, I hadn't done this at that point. I was messaging again. But anyway, I hadn't got to this part of the heist yet on one down. So I was pretty excited. I don't want to say I panicked in this situation, however, I don't think I handled it super well. This is definitely a poorly handled micro situation. I talk a little bit about handling micro situations in my oh shoot, which video was it? I think my Brooklyn 1010 solo. I think I make a mention there for a minute or two about handling micro situations and how it can change runs pretty drastically. Thankfully though, even though I handled that situation pretty badly where I got surrounded really quickly, the situation kind of diffused, even though I took another down here. But I was able to get up to this barrier area and get a hostage. I think I was going to throw that concussion grenade and then jump up so that I could deploy the med bag, but I feign deathed and I wasn't quite ready for it, to be honest with you. So that's why the concussion grenade kind of came out at a weird timing there. trying to deal with those tasers the best I could. Of course, now that the assault wave has restarted, the enemy spawns have shifted to this side of the map. So, as you can predict, I just turn right back around here in a minute once the helicopter gets here. Or like just before the helicopter gets here. And I just bolt down the hill and kite the enemies back and kind of rinse and repeat. A really interesting thing about this last objective, whenever Bile tells you to clear out the street area for the helicopter, it's different than it is, say for example, Panic Room. In Panic Room, when Bile tells you to clear out the rooftop, as far as my knowledge goes, it actually means like you need to clear out the roof or potentially just end the assault wave. That's usually the easiest way I find to do it, is just to camp out elsewhere and end the assault wave. But in this heist, the assault wave doesn't have to, gosh, I'm getting so tongue-tied right now. The assault wave doesn't have to end. You simply just have to get enemies to move away from that area, and it counts as cleared. It's possible that Panic Room might just not be a large enough map in order to guide every single individual enemy off the roof. I don't know that it's a fact. I haven't actually tried to do Panic Room 1 down solo yet. That's the one I was going to tackle in the near future. I definitely wanted to get this one first. This one was kind of a priority since it was so new. So yeah, here in a second the escape zone just completely clears out, whether due to my convert shooting everybody or them moving down the hill. But as you'll see, it is definitely because the enemies were moving down the hill. I made kind of a bad decision. I just decided to book it. This definitely could have went sour, but I had a buildup of concussion grenades, so I just continuously chucked them as the enemies were focusing on my convert, and just managed to bolt all the way up here. I didn't get tased. I mean, like, nothing happened. It was fantastic. It was great luck on the part of Dodge for me not getting just completely obliterated. Great because the convert was taking most of the heat for me. And just fantastic all around, with no turrets to really intrude on my armor regen. So yeah, it was just great. Quick look at my stats right there. Alright, and that was Heat Street 1 down solo. Thank you guys so much for watching.